Hi, I'm Craig Baker, Executive Director of Curl Manitoba. I started curling when I was about 10 or 11 years old and did my juniors that way. And I think like something we're challenging right now, took some time off, but now I'm back curling as an adult as well. Tough one. I've always watched curling. I've always enjoyed watching curling, but I'm going to speak specifically as a Manitoban and as a Canadian that anytime you can watch a gold medal being won for your home country is going to be that. So most recently watching Jennifer Jones go undefeated through the Olympics. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? And then the Paralympics right after, we had a Manitoba Dennis Thiessen win a gold medal as well. So to have that many gold medals come in, and then on the male team we had Ryan Fry, who was also from Manitoba. So I'm speaking specifically as a Curl Manitoba representative that way. But in watching that, but to have that come out of our province is a pretty proud moment. And probably since those Olympics, I've probably never been so proud to be a Canadian as well, that it's just cool to be Canadian. We have about 100 curling clubs that are members of Curl Manitoba. They are all important to the growth and development of our sport. I will consider my home club as Fort Rouge. It's where I learned how to curl. It is my home club, but we do need to look at all of our clubs, and they are important to the growth of our sport.
All right, back here at the Morris Curling Club, Brian Recksiedler joining us now, past president here at the Morris Curling Club. First, Brian, at the DeKalb Superspiel, one of the major events held here every single year. How long has DeKalb, the Superspiel, been around, first of all, and what does it mean to this curling club and this town, really?
Well, this was our 9th annual spiel. Basically, it's one of the lifelines of our club. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. As far as the town, it brings in people from all over the world. There's lots of upside to the whole town and the club itself, and it's definitely been a blessing for us to have it.
Right. Like you said, a great field every year, and it shows from the winners this year. Mike McEwen winning on the men's side, Jennifer Jones winning on the women's side, some top-notch winners. How did this year's event go for you guys?
Well, we had a week or a little more ago, our secondary complex went down, their ice plant went down, so we had to move everything to Morris here, and with a lot of scrambling to get it done, but we managed to get it done, and everything worked really well. Both rinks went good. The curlers loved it, and probably this is the first time that we had both #1 seeds actually win the spiel, as in Jennifer was #1 seed in the ladies, and Mike was #1 seed in the men's. So it went according to plan.
No Cinderella stories in Morris this weekend. Yourself, you were a National Curling Club Volunteer of the Year a few years back. First of all, what did that award mean to you, and what kind of stuff do you do here as a volunteer?
Oh, wow. I mean, most curlers know what you do behind the scenes. It's a lot of stuff, eh? It's not just one particular thing, but I guess that award meant a whole bunch to me, and I really appreciate it, but it wasn't just myself, of course, as you know. It's the whole club that kind of did it. I was just chosen to be the one, which really was nice. I guess one of the major reasons is we did hold the Canadian Mix that year. We were the smallest community ever to hold the Canadian Mix Championship, and we held it here, and there was a lot of work involved, and again, I was just one part of cog of the whole big wheel, so it was nice.
What would you say the state of the club is now, a rural club like this one? And what would you kind of need more of here in the future to keep things going?
Well, I think we're on the right track, like with Lauren and Chris with our this Cargill Training Center. It's steering us in the right direction. We are getting more curlers, which is basically the key to it. As far as volunteers, we have tons for our DeKalb Spiel and that, so I don't think we're shy on that, but we're probably shy on younger curlers to try to keep it going. So that's the main thing, but I think we are kind of in the right direction, because we also had the Scotties in 2007, and prior to that, this club was nip and tuck to whether keep surviving or not, and the DeKalb came along, so we're trying our best and doing different initiatives to keep it going, and I think we're on the right track. We're surviving and holding our own.
All right, joining me now, a legend on the Manitoba curling scene, fair to say, Resby Coutts. You all know Resby, right? He's also the community producer of this show. If you didn't know, Resby arranges all the locations we go to, books all the interviews, so we thank you. You've been doing an outstanding job, Resby. He's booked himself on this show, though. We've got him here for a reason. He's not just here to get TV time. Resby, you're involved with the Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame. Before we get into the major changes you're making, what is the history of this Hall of Fame? Where has it been located in years past, and just how long have you had a sort of a setup going on?
The Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame and Museum has existed formally for this will be our 30th anniversary banquet in May upcoming. But of course, it's existed in all kinds of ways before that, just not in a formal way. But the Hall of Fame and Museum was created 30 years ago. We've had two specific museum locations. One of them was at the Forks, at Johnson Terminal, for quite a long time. And then we moved over to the Bay for several years. But at the current time, we don't have a physical location. And really, in this time and days, a physical location is a very difficult thing to have due to costs and the need for structures and all the rest of it.
So you're making some changes, as I alluded to earlier, and it seems like everything else, you're going digital. Yeah. Explain what you're doing. You're turning things into a virtual museum. What's that all about?
Well, yeah, my kids would laugh if they knew, or they do laugh when they know that I'm leading a digital rebellion or revolution in the Hall of Fame world. But we have a collection of over 40,000 historical images, historical curling artifacts and memorabilia. Everything from, as you see in the display case behind us, brushes and brooms and sweaters and curling rocks and those kinds of things, documents, records. So we have, as I say, over 40,000 historical images and artifacts in the collection, and it's not possible to have a physical location. So our desire is to do a virtual museum where we will relate the displays. Probably initially we'll relate them to the great curlers and the great builders in the Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame, but we'll have the artifacts behind us there.
Where are you at then in the process of putting the online museum together, and what kind of needs to be done still to get it launched?
Well, we're in the early stages. Yeah. We launched a year ago or last May at the Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame induction banquet. We went out to the web design industry with an RFP, a request for proposals. We had interest from several very, very good companies. We've got firm interest and developing proposals coming from two of them, and we have to now go through the process of making a decision which of their design concepts work best. And then, frankly, that's the easy part, because there's a significant bill attached to that. So we're going to have to also talk to folks about helping us to raise the money to pay that bill. It's going to be in the range of $100,000. I'm really pleased to say that we're about 10% of the way there, just from our initial launch last May. So we're making good strides.
I should mention you got some props you've been holding for this interview. You're not going to be juggling or anything, but this is the kind of stuff you're going to see in the Hall of Fame, right? Kind of tell us, explain why you're holding these cans first of all.
A museum is a place to tell stories, and one of the really simple stories I thought I could tell was the story of logos and commercial sponsorship in the sport of curling. Many people have heard the name Macdonald Brier. Many are not aware where that name came from. You weren't aware until I told you where the logo, the Purple Heart that all of the teams who go to the Brier, where that symbol came from. And it came from the Macdonald Tobacco Brier product. It was a Virginia tobacco product. The Purple Heart was their trademark. And the Macdonald Brier was probably the first significant commercial sponsorship of sport in Canada, perhaps in North America. Of course, there's a lot of room for argument whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, and a lot of philosophical discussion around that point. But it was Macdonald and the Brier tobacco product was the first commercial sponsorship of sport, and it was the Brier. The British Consuls was another Macdonald's tobacco product. That was the name of the Manitoba champion. So that's how commercialization of sport began in terms of sponsorship. Was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? Room for lots of debate about that, but that's the background.
Well, a lot to chew on at the Manitoba Curling Hall of Fame. Where can folks go to find out more info before we leave here?
Primarily go to the Manitoba Curl Manitoba website, curlmanitoba.org. There's some links there to find your way through to the information about the curlers and the builders who are in the Hall of Fame, and the information about our virtual museum project.
And that will do it for another episode of Hurry Hard, the Manitoba Curling Show here on Shaw TV. We want to thank the Morris Curling Club for having us down, and of course all the fabulous interviews we had. You can watch full episodes of Hurry Hard on our YouTube page, Shaw TV Winnipeg, and you can check us out on social media, Twitter and Facebook at Shaw TV Winnipeg. So we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Hurry Hard.